Good day and welcome to another amazing show. We have a terrific guest for you today. Today we are talking about how satellite communications providers are working to stay ahead of the rapid industry change. And our guest today will provide us with an insider's look of the future. Welcome to the Tech and Space Leader Show, where we learn lessons of leaders from leaders of the next frontier. I am your host, Lisa Dreher, and I'm really excited to introduce our guest for today, Nicole Robinson. She is the president of DataPath Inc. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Thank you so much. Good to be here, Lisa.
Sure thing. Thanks so much for making time. I know you're super busy and have so much going on. So maybe we can start though by having you give a little bit of background on yourself and DataPath.
Oh, sure. Very happy to. Um, I've been in this industry for about 25 years now. No other place I'd rather be than defense and aerospace. It's been a large chunk of my career at a company called SES, one of the leading owner-operators of satellite constellations used for both commercial and defense customers. About 14 years there. Led a company in the Earth observation, data analytics, and data processing domain, which is called Ursa Space. Ran growth for Comtech, and for the past 2.5 years have been leading DataPath here in the Atlanta, Georgia area, focusing on satellite communication terminal solutions for our men and women of the armed services.
Wow, amazing. What a fantastic career. So tell us, I guess, a little bit more about DataPath's current focus and how you're supporting military, government, and commercial initiatives.
Yeah. So when we say satellite terminal, of course, we mean, the ground systems technology that is communicating with the space segment and bringing that critical communications to the end users when they're fielded in some of the most harsh environments where it's difficult to get connectivity. We are trusted in building those defense certified ground systems, some of which you'd see in kind of the models that are here behind me. This is actually our 30th year in business. We've been doing this since 1996. And today we are the world leader in the WGS certified terminal solutions, and very proud to be so.
Wow, amazing. One of the things that you mentioned in the opener was that you came from Comtech and were, and have been with DataPath for a couple of years. So talk a little bit about the relationship between these organizations.
Yes. In fact, Comtech is a very long-standing trusted partner to DataPath. They've got a variety of different technologies and solutions that we leverage within our ground systems and within our terminals. Chief among them, their modem technologies. They're multi-orbit in nature. They are also defense certified. So it's a beautiful partnership, and one we're really excited that our parent company Gilat has decided to move forward with a definitive agreement to acquire the satellite and space business within Comtech. So we couldn't be more enthusiastic at DataPath about that future together.
Oh, very exciting. Can you talk about some of the advancements in ground stations recently and maybe some of the managed services that have had the greatest impact on the mission performance today?
Oh, absolutely. We do find that our end users, in particular in the defense domain, are asking now for what they refer to as resiliency and redundancy. And what that really means is they no longer can be limited by access to one particular satellite constellation, one orbit, one frequency. They need to know that if they are jammed, if they're denied service, if they're thwarted, or for whatever reason they cannot access their connectivity where and when they need it most, that they will have another constellation they can connect to. So the biggest advancement now, I would say, for ground systems is just trying to keep pace with what's going on the space side. Now we have the advent of low Earth orbiting satellites, of course, with Starlink, with OneWeb, soon Lightspeed and Amazon. We've got the medium Earth orbit now available by SES, and of course the traditional geostationary orbit. So our ground system advancements are really focused on how can we ensure our end users are able to operate across those different orbits and within the different frequencies. So it's been a really dynamic couple of years for us and for the industry as well.
Oh, Right. How is the company evolving its approach to remain competitive in this super quickly changing environment?
Yeah, it's I would say our competitive edge is really in our orientation to our customer. We have a solutions orientation rather than a product orientation. So in a product mindset, it's more, you're manufacturing, a copy paste of a particular capability, putting it on a shelf, putting a price on it, and off you go. In a solutions orientation, it puts the customer in the center of the conversation, where you need to better understand, where are they deploying, what capabilities do they need, what are some of the limitations they might have on things like GPS, is it a denied environment, and being able to tailor what we're providing to that customer based upon that unique mission need. We are also fully built here in the United States, so when it comes to having the element of trusted U.S. country of origin capability, that has also given us the edge over the years. And I'd say the third area is really around that, I mentioned it before, WGS certification. It may not mean a lot to some of the viewers here, but that is one of the most arduous defense certifications that you can receive for your systems. It means they've gone through the tests, their encryption and decryption technologies are keeping pace with what the standards are for our men and women in uniform to trust in that system. And it's really helped us to maintain the foothold that we have with our customers today.
Wow. How does the supply chain, has that been an impact at all, actually manufacturing here in the US?
It's very interesting. I think it's forced a number of different providers to get creative, in particular, the last couple of years, to prioritize their production line here in the United States. Oftentimes we find that those components are not the least expensive. Oftentimes importing from certain countries, you get the cheapest product, that you can find. It doesn't mean it's trusted. And there's a number of different acts. It's not just the current political administration. In fact, several years ago, the Made in America Act was passed. I think that was during the Biden administration. And now we have what we call BABA, Buy America, Build America, where if you are going to be competing for U.S. defense contracts and for federal contracts, there's an expectation there that the vast majority of your components will come from U.S. origin. So there's an element of incentivizing the industrial base of the United States, of course. It's important to us. It's important to taxpayers, myself included, but it's also from a trusted connectivity perspective, just to make sure that what our defense end users are relying on is, has that stamp of approval, that there's nothing untoward in there, there's not added features that maybe would not have otherwise been placed. So it's, I think from a supply chain perspective, those acts, Made in America and Buy America, Build America, have really nudged the supply chain in that direction.
Wow, fascinating. You kind of piqued my interest on the WGS certification. What are some of the main aspects of that, or maybe the most challenging aspects of getting a WGS certification?
Yeah, it's a fun process. I'll tell you that. It's a very arduous process, and I don't say that begrudgingly. I say that because as an American in my heart and in my core, I want it to be. I want to make sure that when they're forward deployed with these systems, they know that the encryption and decryption and the methods that they're using to rely on that path of data and that path of communication is not otherwise going to be intercepted or someone else able to interrupt that capability. So the list is very much surrounding those capabilities. Oftentimes you're provided with material that you have to incorporate and test based upon that government furnished equipment. So it is based on trust, it's based on technology, it's based on the protection of the data, and to get that WGS stamp of approval is not easily awarded. We've got 42 different systems that are WGS certified today. It's the most of anyone in the world. We're very proud of that, and we take it very seriously. And we often say we're only as good as our most recent certification, so it's important to us to keep those standards as well preserved as we have over the last 30 years.
Oh my gosh, what an amazing history. So, how has your role changed as the market has become more dynamic and customer demands have increased?
Yeah. My role specifically as
Yeah.
it has evolved quite a bit, and I think maybe not just my role, but for other CEOs, for other presidents in our industry, I think the modern day role of the senior executive in the company has shifted. So I think 10, 15 years ago, even more recent history, the focus there was monitoring the financials, monitoring on-time production and delivery, and kind of keeping the bumpers up for the organization. That won't work anymore. It's you've got to be deeply entrenched with your customer to understand, what are their needs. I spend at least 50% of my time with customers, understanding what are their current needs, what is their response to the new features we're rolling out, what's working, what's not working. There's no better way to glean your utility for those customers and also understand where are they going, where's the industry going, and what role do we need to play in order to deliver maximum value, of course, for the end user, but also for our shareholders. The other area I'd say that the president CEO role has evolved in our industry in the last 10 or 15 years is the proximity to the employees, really being deeply engaged. So not just throwing up a monthly all hands and reporting on financials, but walking the shop floor, understanding production, all the way from, the financial part of the organization down through, supply chain, production, engineering, knowing the individuals by name, understanding if there's resources they need to be more successful, if there's gaps in the talent bench. So really becoming closer to the employee base has been something that I have found to be very fulfilling, and also an area where I can be more useful in better understanding what the needs are, and then ultimately able to better support the end users when we're supporting our customers and our employees alike.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you assess the influence of new entrants as they come into the market?
Yeah. Um, New entrants are kind of a fun topic for me because when it comes to the new space domain versus some of the strategic incumbents that have been really the lions of this business for decades. New space came up about, I guess, 20 years ago and is very live and well now in terms of the startup community. There's a little blip there a few years ago in terms of some of the investment that was taking a shift elsewhere, but it's back. And I think a lot of what we're seeing today is in no small part because of those new space entrants. All of the development that's happened at LEO. Of course, we've had the billionaires that have come in now and they've really taken it to scale. But it started with the new space entrants. It started with those scrappy startups. A couple people just taking a risk on a new technology, a feature, or innovation they thought would be useful, garnering some investment and really watching that bloom. I think it's there's still a tremendous amount of opportunity in space. We need those new space entrants. We need that scrappiness here. When I say it has a special place in my heart, when I was at SES, we acquired O3b, which was an idea for populating non-geostationary satellite orbit, in this case, medium Earth orbit, with satellites that would provide connectivity to the other 3 billion. That's what O3b formerly stood for. And it was so inspirational. Here we had SES, this multi-billion-dollar enterprise around for 50 plus years, buying this much smaller, scrappy startup, a little risky, had a lower orbit that hadn't been tested yet, and the kind of DNA and the culture that smaller company really injected into this larger organization was infectious. It was absolutely fascinating to see what it did to our business processes, to the way that we thought about technology, we thought about the customer. So kind of got the bug there to say, okay, there's this whole other side of this industry that we need to embrace. So they're alive and well now. The new space community is alive and well now, and they have challenges different than that of the larger strategic incumbents, but an important role nonetheless.
Ah, that brings up a good question, which is let's talk about the other side of the coin. And where do you see the incumbents in the industry having, I guess, unique strategic advantages over some of these newer entrants?
Yeah, I think it's a timely question. On the space segment side, I'd say it's really around spectrum. Spectrum is king. That's what really determine, what territories, over which territories can you operate your satellite constellation and in which frequencies. It's a product of legacy filings. It takes many, many years and billions of dollars to secure. And so this isn't easily or quickly replicated by newer space entrants or smaller providers. It is definitely a space for the larger, more deeply entrenched incumbents. That is one obstacle. I'd say on the ground segment side, where we at DataPath predominantly play, for the larger incumbents, they've got fielded infrastructure that's already in place. And that gives a tremendous edge because if you're a defense end user, you can leverage a different color of money. You have access to different features when it comes to just sustaining and up-tiering your existing fielded technology rather than buying and building and deploying new. So if you have a new space entrant coming in and they've got this dynamic idea to field 1,000 sites of new ground-based systems, it may be the better capability, but it may, from a process and a funding perspective, may actually be harder to get the customer to buy it. Even though it may be a better feature, it's harder to access it. So I think that would be another challenge. On the flip side of the coin of the wonderful benefits new space has, and the scrappy startups have, they do have that shortfall that the longer standing strategic incumbents will continue to hold for some time.
Yeah, yeah, indeed, indeed. What would you say are some of the customer needs that are really driving significant changes today?
Something that's become increasingly important is the need for sovereignty. And this is very true for US Department of War customers when it's about leveraging systems and technology that are US of origin. Naturally, if they can't buy American first, they'll go to allied capabilities. But sovereignty is becoming increasingly important, and it's not just in the U.S. It is also for our allies. If you look at just follow the spending in Europe, the Iris Squared consortium, I think it's 11 or 12 billion euro of investment at this point, that is really limited to a small set of European providers that are entrusted with delivering European sovereign architecture, both on the space side and on the ground system, so that they can ensure that they're operating on trusted networks, on European networks. So sovereignty is really important. Redundancy, it's funny because it is redundant. We talked about it earlier, but redundancy is huge. Having multiple layers to your architecture so that it's no longer if, when you are jammed in an operational environment or someone's able to just take out your network entirely, which we're seeing every day, you've got to have another option to be able, if it's a ground system like a DataPath 2.6 meter next generation portable, it operates at LEO, it operates at MEO, it operates at GEO. So if you're denied one orbit, you're able to dynamically shift and leverage capability at another orbit. And I guess the last area I would say is really becoming a significant change, or an area where our customers are asking us to become a bit more dedicated, is on relocatability and transportability. And it feels like I'm stumbling a little bit. It's a sensitive area because over the past 12 months in particular, our large fixed satellite terminal infrastructure across places like the Middle East and US bases across the Middle East have become bullseyes for the enemy. It's pretty tough to see, and it's not as widely reported as other things that we're seeing in the news. But if you dig, you can find it. It has become a bit of a target on those U.S. bases that are closer within reach from enemy territory to attack with missiles. And having that giant infrastructure with a white golf ball over it, it's become operationally irrelevant. So an area that the customers have really come to DataPath for is our ability to relocate our hub infrastructure, our ground infrastructure, very rapidly when needed to limit the risk of your connectivity network being disrupted or taken out because of kinetic activity like we've seen in recent week. So it's something that it's near and dear to our heart. It's a part of the mission that we know at DataPath we can play a really important role, and we're very proud to be doing that.
Wow, that is a really unique perspective, and thank you for sharing that. Where do you see the next phase of growth?
Yeah, we've got a couple of interesting things on our horizon here, and again, it goes back to really getting close to the customer and understanding what their needs are. If you look at all of the advancement that's happening in space, it's gone beyond just ground to space and back to ground connectivity. The LEO constellations up there, like we talked about, the Starlinks and the Amazon and the Lightspeeds and the OneWebs and the Empower constellation provided by SES, along with GEO, the innovations of intersatellite links has taken it from, kind of a bent pipe scenario where it's coming from the ground to the space, back to the ground, to a mesh network in space. And that is really unlocking some amazing features here. And so I think the next chapter of innovation, the real winners in this game, won't be those that are focused on a vertical model where they say, this is my constellation, this is my modem, this is my ground system, I'm going to lock this into my end users and you can't go anywhere else. The real winners will be those that can work across that whole mesh network in creative ways. So it's about bringing the industry together, getting that development of new technologies cooperatively rather than winner take all, where there's one individual ecosystem that comes out with the biggest purse. An example of that, actually, we've got a model of it here. It's the one all the way on the end here. It looks a little sci-fi. This is actually it's a laser terminal, so it's in partnership with Kai Labs. It's a really dynamic company. They also came out of the new space realm, so special place in my heart. They are taking those intersatellite data links and they're going from space to ground using optical. So using lasers instead of the traditional RF links that historical satellite communications terminals are leveraging. Optical has a lot of incredible features. It's a giant pipe coming down. It's instantaneous. You can't jam it. So it's really a fascinating new world for it. This one's called the Transportable Optical Ground Station, long-winded, so we call it TOGS. First one is actually going to be in a demonstrator during World Satellite Business Week in September of this year. It's the first of its type, and we're thrilled about it. So when we talk about the winners that partner together across industry and make sense of that mesh network in space and bring that data down to our end users faster, more reliably, more secure, we really hope to be at the cutting edge of doing that, and TOGS is one of the ways that we're seeking to do that.
Wow, that's incredibly exciting. So, Nicole, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. It has been a fascinating conversation. If someone wanted to learn more about DataPath, what should they do?
Oh, come to datapath.com. I love that you ask that. Connect with us on social media or on all of the platforms as well. But yeah, we would welcome that. Thank you so much, Lisa. This has been wonderful. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Absolutely, our pleasure. And I do want to take a moment to thank GuideForce for hosting these sessions. To learn more about GuideForce, you can visit guideforce.com. And we'll see you next time on the Tech and Space Leaders Show.